I stood alone by my mother's hospital bed, the sterile beep of the monitor flatlining around me. No prayers, no whispered goodbyes, just the crushing, suffocating silence of a life slipping away. In other rooms, I could hear the soft sobs, the gentle squeezes of hands, the murmured memories shared between family. But in this room, nothing but the cold hum of fluorescent lights and my own breath catching in my throat. No wife clutching my arm, no brother to shoulder the weight of grief with me. Just me, alone, staring at a door I half expected anyone to walk through, but no one came. No calls, no messages, not even the faintest lie to soften the blow. Then the nurse's hand tapped my shoulder, breaking the silence. She handed me a sealed envelope. "Your mother asked me to give you this," she said quietly. The envelope was thick in age, her handwriting fragile, like soft scratches on bone. I opened in the hallway, heart pounding, hands trembling slightly as I unfolded 4 pages. Each word was sharp, precise, cutting to the fog of grief. That's when everything changed. 3 months earlier, life had been perfect. The kind of perfect that makes strangers jealous. The kind with candlelit dinners, morning texts filled with laughter, and shared passwords that felt like secret handshakes between 2 souls. My wife, Leah, laughed like she carried no weight, her joy contagious. My brother Marcus was not only my best man, but my business partner and godfather to a child we hadn't yet conceived. We were a family, unshakable, unbreakable. We built a life together. Family dinners, holiday traditions, a thriving real estate firm that bore our names. I trusted them more than I trusted myself. But trust, I learned, is a quiet target. The first cracks appeared in silence. Leah's eyes drifting away when I spoke, Marcus skipping meetings with excuses that piled up like dust, migraine, car trouble, an emergency showing. Lies were out faster than truth, though, and soon the mask began to slip. One rainy Thursday, Leah's phone lit up in the shower, a message from M that said, "Can't stop thinking about last night." I stared at it, steam blurring the screen, my body going cold. But I didn't confront her. I put the phone back as if nothing had happened. I started watching then, emails, patterns, shifts in tone. I became invisible in my own house, quietly navigating the theater they were performing without me. Leah came home late, smelling faintly of Marcus's cologne. One night, I followed her to a hotel downtown. I didn't go inside. I didn't need to. I waited outside until she emerged, hair tousled, a twisted smile playing on her lips. That night, I stared at our wedding photo for hours, searching for any sign of the loyalty that once lived in her eyes. There was none, but I didn't break. I planned. I became a mirror of myself, outwardly grieving, inwardly sharpening my focus while they lived their lie. I became methodical. I dug through bank accounts, passwords, business documents, everything Marcus ever touched. I found discrepancies, money moving into shell accounts, property deeds quietly transferred. Marcus had been bleeding the company dry for months, with Leah's signature on half the transfers. They weren't just in love. They were building a future on the ruins of mine. Still, I said nothing. Silence became my ally. When Mom fell sick, Leah offered to stay behind and handle things. Marcus said he'd try to make it to the hospital next week. I told him not to bother. I already knew they wouldn't come. Mom's letter changed everything. She'd seen them once 2 years ago in a restaurant across town. Leah's hand on Marcus's thigh, both too drunk to notice her watching. She never told me because she wanted me to find out on my own. Her letter ended with words I can still hear, sharp and clear. Asterisk justice isn't always loud, my son. Sometimes it's quiet, precise. I raised you to be both. Asterisk. I folded the letter, slipped it into my coat pocket, and walked out of that hospital with a heart turned to stone. 2 weeks later, I invited them both to dinner. A private room, candlelight, just like old times. Leah wore red, Marcus looked smug. I raised my glass and toasted to new beginnings. They clinked their glasses, smiling, completely unaware that they were drinking from the last cup they'd ever share. I slid 2 envelopes across the table, one for Leah, one for Marcus. Divorce papers, irrevocable pre-signed, each packed with evidence. Photos, bank records, transcripts of every call, logs of every lie. Leah's face went pale as she read. Marcus's hand trembled. He tried to speak, but I raised a hand. No performances. No pleas. Just consequences. Then I delivered the final blow. I pulled out my phone and pressed play. Audio recordings from our office. Marcus discussing how to push me out, how to take control once the old man breaks. I already had a lawyer waiting. An emergency board vote was scheduled. The media prepped. By sunrise, Marcus was ousted. By noon, his name was scrubbed from the firm. Leah signed the divorce papers. She had no leverage left. I left her with nothing but her shame. Once again, I stood alone. But this time, it was by choice. 6 months later, I sold the company. I donated a portion to the hospice where Mom spent her last days. The rest, I kept, not out of greed, but principle. Every dollar was earned to Betrayal, and now it funds my silence. I don't see Leah or Marcus anymore. Last I heard, they tried to start something together. It failed. Publicly. Fitting. Sometimes I pass by our old firm's building. My name still shines on the plaque. Alone now, but cleaner. Mom's letter sits in my drawer, folded exactly as she gave it to me. I read it when the nights grow too loud. Her last words weren't goodbye. They were a map, and I followed it, step by step, until every shadow turned to light. Betrayal teaches you who you really are. Revenge reminds them who you were always meant to be. I don't regret a thing, not the silence, not the plan, not the ruin. Some justice comes in whispers, and I've always preferred quiet.